Hello and welcome back. 2-3 years ago, the world of audiophiles and vinyl collectors was in shock because it was found out that MOFI had released their albums from a DSD copy of the master tape, that is, from digital. Collectors and audiophiles alike were enraged. Lawsuits followed, and there was a distrust for this company that had been so successful in the 80s and 90s that it still lasts to this day. What surprised me the most when that happened, it didn't really affect me because I don't have any MOFIs, was the fact that these records in the secondary market raised 3 and even 4 figures in price. That was a lot of money, but I'm sure that those prices were due to the fact that everyone thought that they were all analog, that they were sourced from analog, and it was AAA all throughout the analog chain. What also surprised me was the fact that people with very expensive gear and very good audio equipment couldn't tell for almost 2 decades that their analog vinyl was sourced from digital. Which begs the question, is a digitally sourced vinyl, or can a digitally sourced vinyl be as good as an all analog vinyl? The people involved, the buyers involved, the customers, instead of saying that they couldn't tell because they couldn't tell for about 2 decades, they now came up with the idea that it was okay as long as the vinyl sounded okay. So it was not any more important whether the master tapes were analog and transferred through an analog console, or if it was a DSD digital copy. The important thing was now how the album sounded. Now, this to me sounded very hypocritical, and at the same time, it made me feel very distrustful of some sellers, a little bit distrustful of the vinyl world, and at the same time reinforced the idea, my preconception, that if a mastering is well done, and if a recording is well done, and if it sounds good, that's all it matters. If it sounds good to you, then the album is okay. I was researching about this for this video, and watch again the videos of 2-3 years ago, and what people were complaining about, and I couldn't believe most of the things I was reading and I was hearing of people that could, tell you in a blink if a vinyl record comes from analog or from digital. It also made me aware of the fact that in the late 70s and early 80s, when companies were trying to find a digital way to reproduce music, that some vintage albums had a digital step in their process, or had been digitally recorded or digitally mastered in their process, which means that it is nothing new. And I never seen any of these people complain about these albums coming from digital. Maybe 2 or 3 cases are very well known, but some others aren't. And maybe it's just the fact that they didn't know about it, or we didn't know about it. Now, thanks to the internet, and thanks to sharing information and the different forums, I'm going to give you 5 examples of albums that have digital step in their process, and that sound incredibly good, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. And I don't think that the fact that they come from digital source or that they have a digital step in their process makes them less valuable or less good sounding, so to speak. So let's get into it. And before we start, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and becoming part of our family. First one might come to you as a surprise, and it was to me. I only found out about this when I was doing my research for this video only a couple of weeks ago. This is the album Songs in the Attic, Billy Joel. This is my favorite Billy Joel live album. The good thing about it is that it was recorded live with his own band, whereas the original for most of these songs were recorded with studio musicians. It's a gatefold. You all probably know the album. And the sound is amazing. You got here Miami 2017, Street Life Serenade, She's Got Away, Everybody Loves You Now, I've Loved These Days, all classic Billy Joel. I've played it twice before making this video to make sure that nothing was jogging my mind, if you know what I mean. I've always thought that these albums sounds tremendous. This is a US sterling. And normally, any album coming from sterling is a guarantee. But the curious thing about it is that there are digital steps in its process. And I've never seen anybody complaining about these albums not sounding any good. This sounds fantastic. In fact, it's one of the best sounding albums I've got. And there is a digital step on it. Next one is a very typical case. We didn't know at the time, but now thanks to sharing information, we all know. This is Donald Fagen, the Nightfly. Donald Fagen going solo after Steely Dan split up. This was done in the digital realm. Steely Dan tried using it during Gaucho, but in the end Gaucho was fully analog. This one was digitally recorded, and by no other than Robert Ludwig. Robert Ludwig is so famous for his analog masterings and for his production, and his albums usually sound incredible, and so does this one. As I said, while I was doing the research, I found out that this one, it's an American copy, but it was manufactured in Germany. I checked the West German company. It comes from the same stampers, and it's got RL on the ran-out grooves. So most of the ones you're going to find are going to be Robert Ludwig's, but remember, from digital sources. And I've never seen any audiophile or any vinyl collector complaining about the sound of these albums. The music is superb, and the sound is superb. Let's move on now to 1982. The Alan Parsons Project, Eye in the Sky. Like the Nightfly or Billy Joel's Songs in the Attic, I bought the album when it came out. Alan Parsons was very well known as a producer for Pink Floyd, as an engineer for many bands and artists, and his band, the Alan Parsons Project, was very successful. I'm not much of a fan of the band, but I certainly like these albums. As I said, I was 18 when it came out, And the sound on this is gorgeous, is incredible. And it is digitally sourced, which begs again the question, can a digitally sourced album sound good? Of course they can. This is one of my best sounding albums in my collection. I was very fortunate because this is a Spanish pressing, but comes from a German test pressing, right? The Germans made test pressing for this album, and it was spread out through Europe. So if you check many European countries, you'll see that your copy comes from the German test pressing. The sound is amazing, the instrument separation is amazing, the definition is incredible, and the music fills up the room in a way very few albums can. Again, digitally sourced. Stevie Wonder, Talking Book. No, don't worry. This one doesn't come from a digital source. The original was done by, the mastering was done by George Marino. It was released by Tamla, and during the 70s it was fully analog. But reissues in the 1980 were done from digital masters. They digitalized the master tapes and transferred the digital onto vinyl. This is one of those cases. It's a 1984 edition made for the UK and the European market. The sound is very, very good. Not amazing, but it certainly does the job. I've had this album for a long time, for decades, and when I checked the matrices and the information, I realized that it was done from a digital source. And I have never thought, for the life of me, that this could have any digital step in the process. And the last one is the most famous one, Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms. Of course, I bought Brothers in Arms when it came out. It was 1985. I was 21. Dire Straits was a huge band, and they became superstars after this album. In the mid-80s, this was all over the place. It was on MTV as well, the video for Brothers in Arms and For Money for Nothing. There's little information I can add to this album. You all know it. It's very, very famous, and it's digital. Some people believe that the album is fully digital, that it was digitally recorded, mixed and transferred to vinyl, which is not true. The mixing was done in an analog console. The rest of it is, of course, digital, and they released the CD. The CD had extended versions for the song, and that was a way to push us into the world of digital, and making us start buying CDs. The sooner, the better. Again, I've never heard anyone complaining about the sound of this album. Any pressing. This one here, just for one, this is a West German pressing, first pressing. It sounds okay. It sounds fantastic. I've never felt the need to pay premium for for a boutique label reissues or for other copies. This is very well done. The CD sounds just as good. And back in the 80s, nobody had any idea that this vinyl that this was digitally recorded and digitally transferred to vinyl. Now we know, and I don't see anybody complaining about the sound of this album. So that's basically what I had to say about it. But what I'd really like to know is, what's your take on this? Do you buy a digitally sourced vinyl if the sound is good? Do you think that the mastering is the most important thing? Or there's no way you would pay in 3 figures for an album that has a digital step in their process? Let me know in the comments. And the best thing about this is sharing information which benefits us all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. Take care.